Alright, in this video we're going to look at some multiplication division with sig figs, some of that a little bit trickier. Now, unlike addition and subtraction, when you multiply and divide, you actually want to count the sig figs of each number involved. So if we look at 30, following sig fig rules, which you can find in another video, that has one sig fig, and 40 has one. So that means your answer should have the lower of those numbers, so your answer must have one sig fig. So doing 30 times 40 in your calculator, you get 1200. And we have to round that to one sig fig. So the sig fig that's most important is always the one kind of furthest to the left, which is the 1. So everything after that we have to get rid of or round about to. So if we look to the left, right of the 1, we have a 2, so it's going to round down. So 1200 just becomes 1000 when you report it to one sig fig. It seems like a big round, but if 30 and 40 are as unclear as they suggest they are, then that's the appropriate way to write it. If we look here at B, B has 3 sig figs for each number. So your answer should have 3. Now when you do this, we just saw we got 1200. Now I need to have 3 sig figs here. So from left to right, the 1 and the 2 are pretty obvious, but then I need to have this 0 be significant. And that's a little trickier. So again, the only way to do this is to write it in dimensional analysis as 1.20 times 10 to the third. That shows that, yes, there are in fact 3 sig figs in this number, and if you were to convert it back out, you would get 1200. So a little tricky there, but just follow those rules. Here, 8.00 times 10 to the third, this number has 3 sig figs, the 8, the 0, and the 0. This number has 2, so my answer can have 2. Again, it's always the lower number. So now if I do this in my calculator, this is effectively 8,000 divided by 1.4, and I'm just going to write what my calculator gives me for now, which is 5,714. I can even keep all of this if I want, but bottom line, I only get 2 digits. So my 2 digits are the 5 and the 7, which is going to round to 5,700. That has 2 sig figs. There's no decimal point here, so those zeros don't count. So that's how we do that one. On D here, if we count them, there's no decimal point, so we count from the right at the first non-zero. This has 4 sig figs. This has 2, so my answer is allowed 2. Again, I'm just going to type in my calculator and actually divide this out. When I do that, I get 9,986.9, but I got to keep 2 sig figs, so that would be theoretically the 9 and the 9. But then I look to the right, this is going to round up, so this is going to effectively round up to 10,000 if we do this out. Because this 9 becomes a 0, and that becomes a 0 and becomes a 1. 10,000 currently only has 1 sig fig. I need to show 2. And so the only way to do that is to write 1.0 times 10 to the fourth. And that now has 2 sig figs. So again, that one's a little tricky because it started off as we were writing a sig fig to the hundreds place, and then it turned out we ended up writing it out to the thousands place. So the rules are different than addition subtraction. Bottom line is figure out how many sig figs your answer should have, and then at the end, make sure you have that number. So this one needed 1, this one needed 3, this one needed 2, this one needed 2. And that's it. So until next time, I am Derek Genova. Have a delightful day.